Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are getting into something absolutely crucial for every beekeeper, what you should and what you definitely shouldn't be feeding your bees to keep them buzzing and healthy.
So let's ask the big question right up front. Are you feeding your bees correctly? It's time to find out. Because honestly, picking the right sugar can be the difference between a colony that just scrapes by and one that absolutely thrives. And believe me, it's a little more complicated than you might think. All right, first things first, let's talk about the absolute gold standard. If you need to give your bees a little extra food, this is your starting point, your foundation.
And that foundation is simple sucrose. We're talking plain old white table sugar. It doesn't matter if it's from cane or beets, this stuff is the perfect base for any supplemental bee feed. And this brings up a question that trips up a lot of beekeepers. Cane sugar versus beet sugar, which one's better? Well, here's the secret. Chemically, they are exactly the same. So for your bees, there is absolutely no difference. Just go with whatever is cheaper or easier for you to get your hands on. What's really cool about sucrose is just how versatile it is. You can make it into a hard sugar candy for that slow, steady feed during the winter. You can mix it into a liquid syrup, and you can change how thick it is depending on the season. Or you can even use powdered sugar to mix in with pollen substitutes to give them a nice protein kick.
Okay, so now we're going to move into a bit of a gray area. These next few sugars aren't necessarily bad, but, and this is a big but, they come with some pretty important strings attached that you need to be aware of. So really, it all comes down to a trade-off. Let's take invert sugar. On paper, it's fantastic. It's basically pre-digested sugar, so it's super easy on the bees' stomachs, a lot like natural nectar. The catch? It can be a real pain to make yourself, and buying it can be expensive. Or how about glucose syrup? The problem there is that bees they don't seem to like it as much. So each one has a potential upside, but it comes with a downside too.
This right here is such a critical question. I mean, you've seen it, right? Bees flocking to a dropped piece of fruit or a spilled soda. It makes you think, hey, anything sweet will work. But the answer to that is a firm, definite no. Let's dive into exactly what you have to avoid. And now, we are officially entering the danger zone. Giving your bees any of these things can cause some really serious harm, not just to a few bees, but potentially to the health of your entire hive.
Number 1 on the do not use list, high fructose corn syrup. I know it might seem like a cheap and easy shortcut, but here's the thing. It can actually develop some really harmful compounds over time, especially if it gets heated. And those compounds are straight up toxic to bees. Molasses, or sometimes people call it black honey, is another big one to keep far, far away from your apiary. It ferments really easily, which can cause some serious digestive problems for your bees. And worse, that strong smell is like putting up a giant neon sign for wasps and other pests, inviting them right into your hive. And yes, I know, you will see bees all over a juicy piece of watermelon or a mushy banana, but this is so misleading. For bees, these are like junk food. They offer almost no real nutritional value, and they spoil and ferment incredibly fast, which can lead to dysentery and a whole host of other gut problems. So the main takeaway here is that all of these foods just create this cascade of problems. They can make your bees sick, they don't give them the energy they actually need, and they pretty much just ring the dinner bell for every pest in a 1-mile radius. It is just not worth the risk. Period. If you only remember one single thing from this whole explainer, please let it be this. Bees are hardwired to go after sugar, but they have no way of knowing what's actually good for them versus what's going to hurt them. That's your job as the beekeeper. Okay, we've covered our solid foundation and we definitely know what to avoid. So, can we actually make our bee feed even better? Let's check out a few simple things you can add to give your bees a little health boost. Now, the absolute keyword here is moderation. We're talking tiny, careful amounts. A little squeeze of lemon juice can help their immune system. A tiny splash of apple cider vinegar can act as a stimulant and help keep the syrup from going bad. These can be amazing, but think of them as supplements, not the main course. So, after all that, the good, the bad, and the beneficial, what's the bottom line? What does this all boil down to for you and your hives? When in doubt, just keep it simple. A plain syrup made from white sugar, good old sucrose, is the proven, reliable standard for a very good reason. Your bees will thank you. You're giving them a clean, safe, easily digestible food that has everything they need and nothing they don't. Really thinking about this question.
about what goes into their next meal, that's what takes you from just being someone who keeps bees to being a true bee guardian. It's how you make sure your colonies don't just survive, but that they truly, truly thrive.